When I was a kid, I moved back from California to Pakistan and spent a lot of time with books and imagining futures and places and stories. And partly it has always been an attempt to escape from the reality around me, but also to reshape the reality around me as though my stories were real and I could make into existence a world. I quite like something that I think Amos Oz once said about the job of being a writer, which is that he goes out in the morning and he opens his store and then he sits there and waits. And some days no customers come and he sits there and waits and then he shutters his store and goes home. And that's a day of writing. And I think that's correct, that it may not be that you actually write any words. Sometimes I'm just reading stuff I've already written. Sometimes I end the day with far fewer words than I began the day. But addressing yourself to this task of writing is sort of what a writing day for me is like. I usually do it in the morning when my kids are at school. When I was younger, I used to do it at night, from midnight to 6 is probably the hours when Maud Smoke was written. And my first novel, and Exit West, my fourth novel, probably was written mostly from 8 to 1. Part of what a novelist has to do is to create a void. You can think of writing a novel as a kind of metaphor, the metaphor being climbing a mountain. There's a peak, you have to get there. But I very rarely know where I'm headed. It's not like I see Everest I'm trying to climb up. So it's, for me, much more like digging a well. You create this empty space, this time when you're doing nothing else, just sitting there. And slowly water starts to come into it. And that's what a well is, and that's what a novel is if you open up a few hours every day and don't do anything else in those few hours, over the course of a few years, the water that's in that empty time is your novel. I have had the experience of trying to do that well and not having water come in, or maybe it's Diet Coke or mud. And there I'd say, I think I subscribe to the Douglas Adams view of writing. In Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams writes in one of those books that the secret to flying is throwing yourself at the ground and missing. And so the numerous disasters that occur in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 years, those are part of the process of finding the story. The truth is, when you begin a novel a second or third or fourth time with a blank page, what you've done already is there, waiting for you in your mind. And I found eventually that all the work I had done writing this novel in ways that didn't work meant that I knew my characters, I knew where I wanted to go, I understood the emotional arc of this thing, I understood some of the pitfalls I would face. And I've now come to not be so frightened or frustrated by them. I'm still pretty frustrated by them, but I recognize that as just an essential part of telling stories. I think that with writing, the most important thing is whether or not you're writing. Don't worry about whether you're writing anything. Worry about if you're sitting there attempting to write something or not. If you are, you're fine. If you're not doing that, ask yourself why.